All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a career that honestly absolutely defies logic. We aren't just looking at stats and goals here. We're tracking the unparalleled evolution of Cristiano Ronaldo, using the raw audio and the actual historical beats from those moments exactly as they happened. Let's see what it actually takes to stay at the absolute pinnacle of a sport for 2 solid decades. Sensational. The greatest in the history of the Champions League. I mean, wow. Hearing that explosive piece of commentary, it just perfectly captures that visceral reaction, that stunned disbelief that literally defines the atmosphere whenever he has the ball at his feet. But, that brings us to a massive question. How do you possibly map out a career filled with this much unrelenting drama? How does an athlete go from early controversy, literally hearing the boos from the crowd, to setting records that we all thought were, frankly, biologically impossible? To answer that, we're going to map out the sheer endurance of his biographical arc. We'll start way back with the intense fallout of the 2006 World Cup, then move through the ultimate tension of the 2008 Champions League final, all the way to a staggering modern milestone, his 900th career goal. Which brings us to our first era, the Manchester United breakthrough, going from controversy to chemistry. So, following the massive fallout of the 2006 World Cup, a lot of people were wondering how Ronaldo and his United teammate Wayne Rooney could ever share a pitch again. But the commentary tells the real story. As they put it, certainly friends again now. Rooney provider, Ronaldo instant impact. Instead of letting that drama derail them, they channeled it and very quickly transformed into an absolutely unstoppable duo. And that chemistry just fueled this rapid evolution. The commentators were left asking on live television, is there anything this man can't do? He was no longer just a flashy winger. He was actively transforming his body and his entire play style into this ruthless, versatile goal scorer, just constantly bringing the United fans to their feet. Moving on to Section 2, the 2008 Moscow final and the intense drama against Chelsea. The stage was incredibly tense, and this match, it had absolutely everything. Ronaldo opens up with this brilliant, towering header. But then, totally against the run of play, Lampard equalizes. As the game drags on into extra time, Didier Drogba gets a red card. United is essentially dragged out of jail here, and it all comes down to the ultimate test of nerves, a penalty shootout. And this shootout is a mini thriller all on its own. Ronaldo steps up, does his trademark stutter, but he's denied by Czech. Chelsea suddenly has the advantage. Then Chelsea captain John Terry steps up to win it, slips in the pouring Moscow rain, and misses. Finally, Edwin van der Sar pulls off a miracle save against Anelka, and United survive. As the commentary roared, 50 years after Munich, the Reds rule Europe again. This chaotic, absolute roller coaster of a victory cemented Ronaldo's legacy on the biggest stage. It's a crazy reminder of just how razor-thin the line is between pure heartbreak and eternal glory. All right, Section 3, Screamers and the messy rivalry, pushing each other to greatness. This era perfectly illustrates his sheer physical power. 40 yards out, a strike so stunning it left commentators completely speechless. It's the kind of moment where he decides to just have a go from a totally different zip code, and the ball simply rockets into the net. Just unreal. But, as we know, he wasn't operating in a vacuum. The broadcast audio from this era constantly bounces between two names. You hear, "It's Messi, he scored!" and immediately answering back, "Ronaldo reclaims his stage." This was a relentless psychological battle. Every single time one produced untouchable genius, the other instantly answered. They practically forced each other beyond all known limits. Let's head into Section 4, Historic Moments, Dominating Europe, and International Heroics. Internationally, his willpower was basically a force of nature. Carrying the weight of an entire nation, he single-handedly killed the Swedish dream with an unbelievable hat trick. Time and time again, forming these telepathic links with players like Nani and Quaresma, he was the sole engine dragging Portugal back from the brink of defeat. The background audio of his career during this time is just a literal wall of wild crowd noise. Sensational and absolute. You can barely even make out the words because the stadium is physically shaking. It perfectly highlights how he didn't just score goals, right? He created absolute theater. Which brings us to our final section, 900 goals for Portugal and tears on home soil. Broadcasters rightfully call him head and shoulders above the rest, an enduring presence. And this points directly to his most impressive stat of all, his longevity. To remain a terrifying force in professional football across multiple decades is an absolute masterclass in physical and mental preservation, which all culminates in one staggering number: 900. Just let that sink in for a second. 900 goals for club and country. The sheer gravity of this milestone requires a relentless, almost obsessive hunger that is honestly hard to even comprehend. And fittingly, monumental goal 900 happens on Portuguese soil. A cross comes in from Nuno Mendes, Ronaldo finds the back of the net and literally drops to the pitch in tears. The raw emotion of achieving this impossible milestone right in front of his home crowd really encapsulates his entire decades-long journey. We've seen the early controversies, the Champions League drama, the 40-yard screamers, and the emotional milestones. So how will this legacy of fierce rivalry and unmatched willpower be remembered? When the dust finally settles, what chapter will history write for a player who simply refused to stop scoring? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep questioning the limits of what's possible.